I'd like to call to order Whitewater Township Trustee meeting for August 21st of 2023. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Evening all.
Good evening.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Here.
and Mr. King.
Here.
Okay. Everybody have time to look over the minutes?
I
For
did.
the tax budget?
I
For-
did. There's one correction on the tax budget. I already talked to Jim on just on name, so he's got that.
On the
in.
yays, and
Yeah.
I
On-
saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got that taken care of already. So with that correction, I'll approve the minutes to the tax hearing.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay.
Acceptance of the minutes for the July 17th meeting for a regular meeting.
I'll so move.
I'll second. Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay.
Everybody have a chance to look over the invoices?
I did.
I did. I'll move.
I'll second that. Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
and Mr. King.
Yay.
And that moves us to the sheriff's report. Evening, sir.
Evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Sergeant May couldn't be here tonight, so I'm sitting in for him. I'm Sergeant Hill. I do run the West out here on the B squad. Sergeant May did say, I guess, I think you got emailed. Did you get emailed to June and July's?
Yes. Yes, sir, we did.
Looking at this, the only thing I can say, it looks like calls for services were down just a tad from June to July. There were 3 burglaries in June, 2 B&Es, and then there was none in July. Or, excuse me, I'm reading that wrong. There was none in June, but there was 3 burglaries in July and 2 B&Es in July, which sometimes the month
Yeah,
of
mine's
July-
showing 3 burglary in June and in July. Oh, okay. They're not on the top of it, so yeah.
Yeah, so there was none taken for the month of June.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but with that said, I guess calls were for services, technically, we're a tad up in July also, my bad. It's the way he's got this written down here. But there was no major incidents that I can think of, no homicides, felonious assaults, nobody getting shot or anything. We're hoping to see that as the summer kind of winds down, the kids get back in school, things kind of simmer down for a while
Hopefully.
until the holidays hit, and then things pick back up. But unless you got any questions for me.
No, not at all. I think June was a little rougher, but that's on the
Yeah.
norm,
uh,
Like you said, it's,
Keith, I think, has a.
Yes, sir.
Keith, I think, has a.
Yes, sir.
An incident a few weeks ago up around 7500 Morgan Road. There's a bunch of sheriff cars up there. Do you have any idea what that was?
Without a specific address? I know we had, maybe the fire department could respond, but I think we had a DOA on Morgan Road about a week or so ago. Could have been what it was about.
There were 3 or 4 sheriff vehicle cars, and a couple other cars up there at one time or another. Up there for quite a while.
Right.
yeah, up on the bend of, on the bend of Morgan Road. Yeah, there was a DOA up there.
I know there's been some incidents up there where you guys have had to go in for like a raid
No,
before, and I didn't know if
that was not the case. I'm familiar with what, no.
Yeah, we conducted, I don't think we conducted any raids on Morgan Road.
No.
that unless Dart, which is part of Hamilton County, but we don't really have anybody in Dart. They might have done something out there. But I'm pretty sure he's probably talking about the squad run up there.
I know what he's talking about.
Up there with the bad house, so that could be very well.
Right.
Didn't know. Nobody else.
Because it was shut down for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
shut down for a while. Yep.
I don't have anything else. You guys got anything?
I don't have anything else either. Easy
Appreciate it.
month.
Be safe out
Have
there.
a safe night and everybody stay warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay safe out there. Thank you.
Moving on to public presentations. Diane? Varmint.
What?
I said varmints.
Oh
I got a skunk in my house, too.
my
Wescally
God.
Wetlands.
Well, I found something out that marijuana smells like skunk, too.
Well, that's true.
That was a big epiphany for me. I learned something this week. It didn't smell like that when I was young, but things evolve, I guess. Well, anyway, I left, before I get into the critter, the Things for Hope's Journey. I went to that meeting last month. And so that is a copy of their policies and procedures. And there is a 19-page application each gentleman has to fill out before he can become a member of the house.
It seems pretty legit, honestly.
Yeah, and Don Myers seems to be very sincere about this, and he was very forthcoming about everything that went on in Harrison that brought them to Whitewater. We'll just see how.
I sent that out. Everybody got that, too, didn't you? Did you guys all get that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That I sent
So
out.
I brought a copy so you could read it.
I
and
sent out that thing that they showed at the meeting, the
the
presentation thing, too.
yeah.
So
And,
everybody
yeah,
could
they
look at it.
had
I was pretty impressed. I thought
Yeah.
it was a legit, like really good, but it was actually even better than I thought.
I mean, and one of the things I asked him was, why didn't he put out a sign? And he said what he went through in the past, he was afraid to do that because he didn't know how everybody would take it. So I asked him to come and talk to our business civic group this past month, and he came, and they asked him some really hard questions. It was like, whoa. But he answered them, and he stood up. And so as long as he's following all the guidelines he set up, things should be fine, I think.
Chief, you got the address for that, too, didn't you? I sent it to you, okay.
So anyway, a week ago last Friday, I got into the hall and it was Skunk City. So we had somebody come out and set up traps. Well, the pictures, because he had a motion sensor, is mostly baby possums. So I'm not Thane Maynard, but I think this is what happened, and I hope you'll buy into it. I think the baby possums and the mother was down underneath, and somehow a skunk got down in there, and there was a mother-skunk confrontation. And I think that's why the skunk sprayed, because he said he's not seeing any more skunk or any skunk activity. So I think it's over. Nadine, fingers crossed. I got some skunk spray, and we're working on it. So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
They'll probably be back. We need to probably at least put some concrete in that
Yeah,
hole.
in there, in the holes, yeah. we
I've got
will.
them at my house, and they'll be gone for weeks and weeks, and then they'll come
And they'll
back.
come,
And what they do is, when they go in and they stay down there. When they leave, they spray when they leave, so no other predator goes in the hole.
Well, maybe that's what happened.
That's what it does. When they leave, they spray, and because I've been trying to get rid of them also, they spray so that no other predator comes in. They smell that, and they won't go in the hole. That's why. And they'll spray every time they leave if they're in there, but they go away, and then they might be gone. Mine's been gone for a long time. So
Yeah,
maybe
I think they're
something got it.
transient, pretty much. They're nocturnal and transient, so.
Yeah.
It is was the breeding, this now is when they're having their pups or kittens or whatever you call a baby skunk. Because I had one last weekend also.
Yeah.
So you're not alone with this.
Okay. Well,
And I did a bunch of research on it and found out that's what it was.
Awesome.
And-
If it comes back around,
Yeah, but I would definitely, I could tell where they were entering and exiting, and I took care of that. I would say Josh, if you can Josh stop over and look at that and just see if it's something you can block?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
if it comes back around, we can approve for them to go ahead and trap it without having another meeting, right?
Yeah, I think for the
Yeah.
cost, this
Yeah,
really
so
didn't need to
this-
come to
yeah.
the board. Josh could have just taken
So
care
if
of
it pops back up, just,
Okay, well, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we're just delaying it if you bring it back to us, right?
yeah.
Yeah, just do it.
You keep it for a month, it becomes a pet.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. You're gonna bring it in here on a leash and bring it to our meeting and said, here he is, aren't you?
My sister had a pet skunk.
Yeah.
I work at Home Goods, and a couple brought in a possum and a cat.
All right, moving on to township reports. Fire department. Evening, chief.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening, chief.
Our run total for the month of July 2023 was 116 EMS details with 91 patients, 72 transports, 65 fire details for a total of 181 details for the month of June or July. And it brings us to 628 EMS details, 296 fire details for 924 details so far year to date. That does put us a little bit ahead of last year. We have been busier, and it seems like it's coming in chunks, where one month is a lot busier than the previous month. I'll skip through the middle part unless you have any questions there. Our staffing for the month of July, we did have 2 12-hour station closures at the Miami Town Station. A lot of that was, well, those were due to vacations. We're at the point in summer where a lot of people were on vacation. Even our full-time, we had a large chunk of them on vacation. Have one full-time out on a medical issue right now also. So unfortunately, we did not have the staffing for 2 12-hour shifts. And then for our paramedics, we have 1 12-hour shift where we did not have any of our paramedics on duty. But again, as always, we are still utilizing WestJet to complement our paramedic staffing. I have received an MOU for wages from the part-time union. After discussion with the fiscal officer and administrator, we have made some changes to the proposed language, sent that back to for their review. They were not receptive to our changes and did not approve the MOU, so we're still in negotiations regarding that MOU with the wages. The Bureau of Workers' BWC Safety Initiative Grant for the power cot and loading system has been submitted. Our portion of the grant will be around $21,000. That was a little higher than I originally anticipated. The BWC portion will be $40,000. And there is another grant available, the Firefighter Exposure to Environmental Elements Grant. That grant can award up to $15,000. It is not a matching grant, and we are looking at new extractors for turnout gear cleaning through that grant. The ARPA grant, I received an email last week regarding the long-awaited second half of the ARPA grant. According to the information I received, we are receiving $66,000 for employee retention, and I'm in the process of attempting to schedule a meeting with the ARPA representative. We've been bouncing back and forth emails trying to get a meeting date set up. So hopefully I will have some more information on that after I meet with her. The Miami Town Station, waiting on the contractor to provide a repair estimate for the bay floor and the floor substructure. I will pass that information along as soon as I receive that. And thanks to Carpenter Signs for the new station sign at the Miami Town Station. This was installed last week, and it looks really good. Basically, he lives in Miami Town, and he came by the station one time and said, I've lived here for a long time, and I'm tired of seeing that old sign up on there. I want to give you guys, I want to do something nice for the department, and said I want to design a sign. So we worked with him on the new sign design, and that's what we have. And we're extremely appreciative of Carpenter Signs for doing that, and it looks really good. And I did include a picture in your packet. So I'm going to reach out to him regarding replacing the sign in Hooven on the station as well. The Crown Vic has been retired. It has a broken motor. They found coolant in one of the cylinders. It's a 2005 with 96,000 miles on it. It's not worth investing to repair that. So I would like permission to move that onto the auction site. I did talk to Trustee Pope and Trustee Shibley about it, and if we kind of put it on there at what we would get for scrap, that would be the one of two options. Either we auction it or scrap it, and somebody may be looking for parts or for a 2005 Crown Vic that they can put a new motor in. So would like permission to put that on the auction block. And also we have the old metal boat motor and trailer. This boat was kept in reserve for flooding purposes, where our new boat, the newer inflatable boat, would not be able to go into. And since we've had the newer inflatable boat, we have not had a need for the metal boat, and we're looking at about 4 or 5 years. So I would like to move that the metal boat motor and trailer, move that on as well. It's basically just sitting, taking up space. And then we also have, I forgot to include, we've got some old cots, ambulance cots sitting over at the E-Town station that the power cots replaced. So we'd like to go ahead and throw those on. None of this equipment has any use to the fire department anymore. So I'd like to add that to the auction list as well for you guys to approve. So I know, one last thing, I know you guys don't like having things thrown into your lap, but unfortunately, I had something thrown in my lap today. We just received this from our ambulance salesperson. There is a demo ambulance available that would be available now to purchase. We are slated to take Squad 6 up to Braun to be remounted, and I'm being told that is now looking at January, right, Jeremy? Yeah, we're now into January on that. So that's going to be a 1.5 to 2 year process from what we were initially told. Hopefully it won't be that long. So, but I passed out some information to you guys. Jim was actually in my office when this came across, and we did talk about it a little earlier today to see what the possibilities to take advantage of purchasing this demo. There were also some more demos that were going to be available. We thought next year, but that was actually a mistake on the salesman's part. It's actually going to be 2025 when those will be available. So this demo is $335,000. It is basically, the box is a hybrid of what the crews were looking for when they spec out a new ambulance and to what we currently have. The biggest advantage, even though it's not exactly what they want, it will still allow the members or the crew members in the back of the ambulance to stay seated while working on the patient. They wouldn't have to get up and move around as much for equipment and stuff like that. They can set up the back of the ambulance to where stuff can be reached without standing up and having to move around in the ambulance. So it's, I don't know, it's hard for me to stand here and bring this to you guys because I know you like to review everything, but unfortunately it is a demo. There are 2 other departments looking at it, and if it's something that we can take advantage of, I would like to consider taking advantage of this. But again, I understand it was just proposed and dropped in my lap and dropped in your lap, so.
I got a question. If how bad is the one we were going to remount? If we bought this truck and then just went ahead and did the remount still, can we do it that way and still just do a remount, or just?
We can.
And then we would just be doing away with the new truck. We'd just be getting the new truck, the complete new truck, before we did. You
Essentially,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like we were going to buy a new truck anyhow,
Well, we were going to remount an existing box onto a new chassis.
and then order another brand new truck.
Correct.
But
The
if we-
plan was to order another new one, preferably by the end of this year, because the turnaround time on a new ambulance is 3 years right now.
That's what I'm saying. Now, how about if we bought this one can we still do the remount and then we're ending up with a new one and a remount like?
Correct,
want
we
to?
could,
We're
yes.
just flopping them.
We
We're doing
can.
the new one first and the
Or,
remount.
or the other option too is, again, there's going to be more demos available in 2025 to where they're, for our remount time is going to be 2025 as well. So we could not do the remount and do another purchase of another brand new demo at another, right now about a year and a half out, 2 years out, to where we would not have to remount that other ambulance.
I'm just saying that we were expecting to spend a remount money plus brand new money.
Correct.
Already. If we get stuck, if we buy the brand new one and money-wise is gonna work out better to do the
How much
remount.
is a remount?
The remount that we have locked in right now is $172,000.
172,000.
Yeah,
So if we did this, you're saying do this demo now, then do another demo in 25?
correct. Well, we would have to lock in that demo probably when, did he say when those are going to start being available to purchase?
The purchase agreement can be done at any time.
For the 2025
For the
demos?
25s.
Okay,
So
Yes.
is that what you're saying? So there would be no remount, and you're talking about a new one now and a new one in 25?
correct.
And do away with the demo or the remount that,
Right, we would not
Trustee Shannon.
remount Squad 6, we would not remount Squad 5,
we would do a new demo now, a new demo in 25?
correct.
Okay, that's what I
Squad,
thought you were saying.
yeah, and Squad 5 has already been remounted
Correct.
once, and it's got the configuration that is not real conducive for medic. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's the reason for the desire. Now, I've spent all afternoon today at my job working on this same problem. We had vehicles thrown in my lap that said, hey, you can buy them now, or we don't know when, because the UAW is getting ready to go on strike in September. It's inevitable. And there's just harder times than ever to get new vehicles right now. So this, I'm experiencing this on both ends.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we did the new truck now, we were planning on doing the remount and a new truck anyhow.
Correct.
If we do the new truck now and say, hey, we'll see how the money flows, if we could do another new truck in 2025, great. If we can't, we could still go ahead and do the remount. And we're still spending the same amount of money that we were initially thinking, right?
Correct.
I mean,
If we remounted our ambulance, it would be the same amount of dollars. Correct. If we went with another demo towards the end of the year, if we purchased one of the demos towards the end of the year, it would be, right now they're $335. So we're looking at $670,000 for 2 new demos.
So the problem with the 2025 demo is we have to get on the books now saying we would buy it by the end of the year, you're thinking November or December. So we would have to make a commitment to buy the 2025 demo by November or December.
Correct. And
But if
there's
we want the demo right now, we need to do that now.
the one that I presented to
Correct.
you, yes.
Okay.
That one is done. It is sitting at Braun's facility. It's ready to go.
So we would have to commit to $300-something thousand now, and then by the end of the year, we'd have to commit another $300-something thousand to do the 2025 to make sure we get to 2025, or you're going to be out. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. Now, I mean, that's my, because we
Yeah.
do that as well
Right.
at work,
And
so
if-
I understand it, so.
And my understanding is if we don't act on this demo, given the
gone.
timeline we've got, we're not going to see any new
Correct.
ambulance before 2025.
Probably not.
Correct.
That is,
And the demos that are going to be available in 2025, the box configuration is closer, almost dead on what these gentlemen have worked on for the new box.
so your staff, their understanding is that if we don't act on this, we're not going to get anything till 2025 anyway, new.
Correct. That's the way it's going to be, right.
Or even remount it.
Or remount it,
Or
correct.
even remount it.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Okay, right, so we're
Yeah.
pretty much out if you don't act now. Okay.
Right,
So 2024 is going to kind of be dead.
correct.
would it be terrible if we ended up would it be terrible at the end of the year, we say, listen, we don't have the money to buy 2 brand-new trucks? Would it be terrible if we ended up going and remounting like we were talking we were gonna do originally?
We could do that.
I mean, would it be I mean, do you guys hate that? Would it be like, we don't want, is that box really bad, or is it just outdated, or what's the, I mean,
Well, between we've got Squad 4, which is 2017. Squad 5 is a 2019, and actually the box on Squad 5 is in better, or Squad 4 is in better condition than Squad 5. But they both have already been remounted, so neither one of those would be remounted anymore. Squad 6 is the only available
The only
is the only
possibility.
one to remount, and that chassis is not the greatest. It's the 2010 bad diesel motor chassis.
but that box, that's the box you were gonna use?
That's the
on
box we were going to remount anyway, yes.
And it's not like the new truck box, like it's not like a brand new one.
It's similar, but there are some differences. Yeah, the one that you're looking at there is a hybrid between what they wanted and what we currently
So
have.
Squad 6 is not the greatest anyway.
Not the chassis,
And if
no.
we spend 160,000, we're already over halfway if we just went ahead and did 2 new ones. Is that kind of what you're
Correct,
saying?
yeah, the remount is 172,000. We're locked into that.
172,000 is the remount.
Correct.
The new 2025 is going to be 330, you said, something like that?
It's 2023.
Well, it's this one is a 2023.
What would the 2025 come in at? It'll come at the same
Roughly,
price.
yeah,
So
until there's a price increase.
that's what I mean. If you did the
Right.
remount at 172 for 335, we can get a brand new one, a 2025 model, and be done with it.
Plus, Troy feels that we can get a pretty good deal on Squad 5, which is the 2019, if we put that up for auction or sold it, or we would probably have to sell it outright, not go to auction. He feels that we could get a significant amount for that vehicle.
And Squad 5 cannot be remounted.
Squad 5
We've already
cannot
done
be
that.
remounted, correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm following you now. That's why
It's-
when we don't have this in
Oh.
advance, it's hard for us to digest it.
Totally understand, and
No,
again, I
know
apologize.
You knew bringing it in.
Oh, Jim and I already had that conversation earlier
You
today.
knew I was already shaking my head when I seen a set.
I know how it goes. I know
We
the rules.
actually, because I was in the office, I said, if we're gonna do this, I'll at least call everybody individually. And at that time, we thought those 2025 units were gonna be available in 2024. So we're just like, you know what? We miss this one, we miss it. Sorry, and then when he found out they weren't available till 2025, he called me and said, you're not gonna believe this, but I know you didn't get to call them, but I probably need to present this anyway, and yeah. And again, my original thought with the remount, I said to him then, was, if we're gonna spend that much money on a remount, why don't we just buy new? And he said, timing. So as much as I don't like the idea, and we're gonna have to finance these, you know, to me, it makes better sense to get new and closer, and in this unit, you can, I think Willie and the chief went over before the meeting, the difference in the,
It's not apples to apples. The unit we would be getting, what is the 172,000 remount is an E450 van chassis gas engine. This $325,000 squad is an F550 truck chassis, 4-wheel drive, diesel.
It's the
So
same
you're
chassis as
already-
Squad 4.
Huh?
It's the same chassis as Squad 4.
Yeah, you're already looking at a $70,000-$80,000 more expensive chassis. It's a lot more truck. To me, I
You're
don't.
speaking more my language because I understand.
I don't like.
That's
I don't like this presentation tonight, but I understand it because that's my job, daytime job. I don't like it, but I personally, with knowing what I know, I feel we need to act on it.
So without our president saying anything, because we'll look at you last, okay? I like putting Trustee Shively on the spot. Can we do all this, or not to put you on the spot, but
we can do it, we have to finance it, and, you know, again, Sorry.
telling him for you.
He's been yelling at me quietly. So we can do it. We'll have to finance it. We'll probably have to finance it out more years than what we financed things in the past for, like the fire truck. Yeah, I hate to do that. We did pay cash for the last remount, I think. We're just not in a position to be able to do that. We're going to have to bide time until we can figure out how to fund the fire department a little better. So, and yes, I stuck that on your agenda for later.
There is,
Talk about it.
sorry to interrupt, but there is a 0% financing grant opportunity through the State Fire Marshal's office. I'll get some information on that and I'll send it over to you tonight or tomorrow.
So that would be an acceptable rate to me.
It would be.
So,
Making it sound better and better than our salesman. Right. I didn't speak into the mic.
Keith has a question, but Keith, anybody, when you have questions, please come up to the microphone. Don't talk from
Yeah.
your chairs.
Chief will share with you.
I got keys, I got paperwork.
Simple question. I got an aunt that rode in Harrison Squad here a few weeks ago one time. And she said that ride was much better than what Whitewater's is. Is this comparable, the new one, to what Harrison has?
I don't ride in the back of them very often. Harrison does use a different manufacturer, and I am not sure what type of suspension that they have, or the age of their units as well. Jeremy, do you know?
I do, sir.
Okay.
Harrison uses a different manufacturer than what we use, but the chassis is going to be the same. It's actually 2 years older than what we would be purchasing. So the suspension systems are comparable. They're a liquid suspension system versus the old spring and shock kind of system. If you know anything about that, the liquid suspension system, similar to what's on Squad 4, which rides much better currently. So the system would be much better for a ride for our patients.
Hey, if I gotta go, I don't care what it rides like. Just get me there.
actually, you do.
You do care.
I don't know, man. If I'm dying.
Thanks for
Been there.
sharing that,
You
Keith.
do care
That was helpful.
when you're in
Thank you.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to cause a back injury while you're taking someone to the hospital. Think Dodge Tradesman van.
And another, we're talking about that power cot system. It would be nice to just put it straight into the new unit and not be putting it in an old one and then changing it over to a new one and,
Is
You
this
know,
something
the lady from BWC had a nice, long conversation with Peggy and I and about how they could help us. And we've applied for that.
It was submitted last week, and
And-
the way that works, just so you know, is we submit it, and then it goes to I can't think of her exact title, but someone from the BWC basically reviews it, and then you have a virtual meeting with them, and they suggest changes and basically how can we make the grant better as to what the evaluators are looking for. So I had that meeting last week, and I had all the changes ready to go. As soon as we were done with the meeting, within 2 hours, all the changes were ready to go. I was just waiting on a new quote, and I got that the next day, and it was submitted. So we've done all of our legwork. We're just waiting to hear back from them.
I'm just wondering if Peggy and I called and talked to the lady who was their outreach person and said, we really appreciate you getting in contact with us, showing your program. You said if there's ever anything you can do to help, well, we have an opportunity. We'd like to get this put in
And
at the factory.
I used the same application from 2019 when we were awarded the money for the power cots that we have now. So essentially, we've used the same language. It's been tweaked a little because her first comment when she reviewed it was, wow, this is really good. But I do have a few suggestions. So it's what they were looking for.
I think it never hurts to task. And, I would like to see it go in.
It makes more sense.
We can do what we can do. Otherwise, we use the old one until we get it approved.
Yeah, because this demo unit would essentially be put into service
Next
pretty quickly.
Well, as soon as all the financing and everything was
Get
approved.
it lettered and all that stuff.
The chief kind of likes the decals that are on it.
No, that was an older one.
Oh, okay.
This one does not have the American flag decals on it.
So is this something we bring back up on new business or something you want to handle?
You can do it now if you're comfortable. If you want to think about it for a day and
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and then finance this demo for, how much, Chief? 335,000?
Yes.
Give our fiscal officer permission, let's move and get this demo
Yeah, I don't want to
financed.
kick the can.
And, so, there's my motion as long
I'll
as I said
second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
and Mr. King.
Yay.
Let him off the hook.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, I know it's not the way we conduct business, but I appreciate it.
So,
Thank
Only
you,
thing
sir.
I ask, over the next couple of months, get with all you got, your whole crew, and let's figure out what we're gonna do for 2025, and let's discuss that a little bit.
And in the meantime, we can put Squad 6, the one we're replacing, correct?
Correct.
We can put Squad 6 up for sale, see what we get out of that. That'll help
Let's-
make a decision.
Let's start
Yes.
moving on that, and
can we include that in the motion later on for surplus equipment?
Yeah, yeah.
does that
And-
help?
And they did say also that that they would basically void that contract, the purchase contract for the remount, if we purchase this. So we're not tied into that. That would be considered met with the purchase of this demo unit, so.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anybody
You're
else got
welcome.
anything?
Any other questions?
Do not, thanks,
Nope.
Chief.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Moving on to maintenance department. Evening, Josh. You don't want a new truck too, do you, Josh?
Nope, no new
Okay.
trucks. As much as I don't like the word winter, I'm going to bring it up, being as it feels about 100 plus outside. I've been in contact with Warbrick Landscaping, and they're willing to continue helping the township for the 23-24 winter season. I have attached a quote to your packet for your review. They're not going to increase anything, so all from last year will remain the same. And with permission from the board, I would like to continue using Warbrick Landscaping for the 23-24 winter season. CDBG, we're somewhat at the mercy of we have to spend this grant money to do the paving here. And we're at the mercy of, the contractor and the plants shutting down in the winter. So the community center will need to be closed from, excuse me, Monday, September 11th through Friday the 15th, along with the following Monday, which is the 18th, for the paving and striping project. And Saturday and Sunday. They actually bumped it on Saturday and Sunday
Do
because.
we have any rentals on the 16th or 17th?
Well, we had some, but I'm hoping that we feel those are taken care of, correct? It just happened that this is the date that the contractor was able to start, and like I said, we couldn't really push it any further. They already have prior jobs, so they're trying to fit us in with this. And this is all weather permitting, so dates are subject to change. I hope they don't. If they do, I will definitely pass it on to the board. Peggy and I will get together, and we will let Carolyn know what's going on here at the community center, because we will have to shut it down. Because the curbs that are out there now are going to actually be concrete, so that's 2 days. The blacktop curbs on the island, they're not going to put blacktop no more. They're going to cut that all out and put concrete like the rest of the areas. And then they're going to come in, and it's probably take a couple days just to mill everything. And that's That's everything that's blacktop on the grounds. And then you got your paving, and then at least a day for striping. But that's all I have, unless you have any questions for
Hey,
me.
Josh, I have one just because, are we gonna retain the grindings from the?
We are not. They are disposing of the material.
I didn't know if we had a spot that we could use those at the boat ramp or someplace.
Are they are they charging us disposal, or are they taking them back to a recycle yard, or?
I would assume they're taking them back to a recycle yard. They didn't.
Okay,
I don't remember reading that, but I know there is.
Just double check
The
when-
spoils are supposed to, they're supposed to take care of the spoils.
Okay, well, if they do want to charge us for removing spoils for dumping,
Yeah, CDBG's already went over everything and approved everything,
Okay.
so it's already in the
Okay.
contract.
Yeah, I doubt if they would let them just haul them away and.
well, I'm just saying, I have a fill permit at
Gotcha.
my place if they need a place to dump. Yeah, if they want to use it, I have a fill
Okay.
site available, free.
Okay. That's all I have, unless you have anything else.
I do not. Thank you.
All right,
You-
thanks.
Can we
You
go
want to
ahead and
wait till
approve
new
on the-
business?
Yeah.
You want to wait till new business on the snow? I'd just say we'll approve it. I'd make a motion, we approve the snow removal.
I'll second it. Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay.
Moving on.
That was easier than the Chiefs.
Yeah. To the community, do we have to approve that at the closing? We don't have to approve that at the closing.
No.
No, okay. I'm moving on to community center, attendance from 7:18 to 8:15. Euchre during the weekdays was 97. Euchre on Friday nights was 178. Chair volleyball was 48, because they had some away games this time. Bluegrass was 156. Country music was 52, for a total of 531. Rentals for August, shelter has 2, the center has 1. Okay. The center will be closed September 11th through the 18th for repaving and parking areas on the entire grounds. No one will be permitted to drive on the lot until September 19th. Just a reminder of the programs available at the center: chair volleyball, euchre, bluegrass, and country music. If you have any questions, call 513-367-6046. Always, we're looking for new ideas. If anybody has any ideas for the center, please contact Carolyn at 513-367-6046. Got anything else on the community center?
I do not. I don't have anything.
Moving on to committee reports. Regional Water and Sewer.
Well, since we've come up with our funding for State Route 128, all I have to say is that we're in the easement acquisition process, and we hope to be breaking ground on phase 1 of that next spring.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. Nobody got anything else for them?
Nope.
Economic development.
Yeah, I'll let Jim jump on this as well. Jim and I met with our attorney about still making movements on that area down on 128, down by Miami Town, that whole corridor down there. Do you want to add anything onto that?
No, pretty much the same things we discussed before, doing a TIF area for the Southhorse development and also the Skyline development on the Thaman property. And we reviewed possible partners for a joint economic development district, which would allow us to levy an income tax in that area. We learned a little bit about what that requires. So we're going to just reach out right now to, the way JED works is you can skip over one jurisdiction. So for us to get to a city or a village with an income tax, we're allowed to jump over one township or other city or whatever. So they gave us a list of, I think, 5, which included Addison, City of Cincinnati,
Harrison,
Fairfield,
Fairfield,
and
Mount-
I think Mount Healthy and North College Hill, so
yeah.
6. City of Cincinnati has the largest, which they had at 1.8, although I'm fairly sure the City of Cincinnati went to 2.1, although I'm not positive. But Brenda did tell us that the City of Cincinnati is very difficult to work with. Everybody else in that is either the City of Harrison's at 1% for their income tax. Everybody else is at 1.5. And what we would be looking for is who might be the city that has the income tax has to provide something back to be part of the JED. So whether it's just maintenance help or something like that, it could be fire and police, but we're going to have a pretty small JED area, and we're not really contiguous to anybody, but close to Harrison maybe in the future. But the way that works is we would negotiate a rate. So if they have a 1.5% income tax, we would just negotiate a percentage that we would get, that they would get, and depending on that percentage, who paid for the collections. So typically, in that, we would say get 50%, they would get 50%, and we would pay for the collection of the income tax. Or I think probably in talking with Mike Rahal, who's the administrator at Cleves, he did the very first one in Fairfield Township when he was there. They had one that was a 50-50 with Fairfield because Fairfield was threatening to annex it. They did their next one, it was a 75-25 with the city of Hamilton. So he said that Fairfield is very easy to deal with, and Brenda said that. So we're just going to reach out to Fairfield, Harrison, and a couple others and see if they're interested in doing it and go from there. Hopefully we'll have something on both of these issues next month.
Yep, TIF and the JED. And on one of the TIFs, we're already moving forward on filing paperwork.
On the one for Anderson Automatic.
Anderson Automatic, so that's already been through, and we're pursuing that.
Yeah, we approved that.
As we speak, so.
It's funny how she explained the process. She didn't want us to present this to the county before the fall tax bills were ready, the second half, because it goes to the auditor has to, or the treasurer has to say, yeah, this parcel's in compliance with their paid taxes. And she said sometimes if you send that in too early, they'll look and say, well, they haven't paid the second half taxes yet, so they just mark it no, and it goes on to the state. She said it may take the state a year to tell you, hey, it doesn't work. So we're just going to let her, we're going to follow her recommendation, I think.
Yeah, this is
do that.
definitely something we can't do without our attorney, trust me. We were in there a couple hours, and so it was very educational, so.
So, by the way, she did Fairfield Township too. She was involved in all that. That one that was 75-25 was Bridgewater Falls, the big development up there. So
So it's good movement for Whitewater Township, which is a plus.
yeah.
So got to start
We
it now,
also-
it just takes a couple
We
years
also
down the road.
discussed all the stuff that needs to happen in that area basically from the beer house to the Miami
Right.
Town School property.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot to do with that.
Well, at least it's moving forward.
Correct.
Anything
That's it
else?
for us. Yep.
We Thrive?
Nothing to report.
We got nothing on solid waste. About West Chad?
I've reported since we met. I have nothing new to report. Nadine, everything okay, going smooth? Other than the skunk?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is it everything okay other than the skunk?
Other than the skunk,
Okay. Nothing to report for West Shad this month.
Okay, under old business, we got the property on Ferry Street.
You need an update on, reminder on what all this is.
Yep.
So we talked about this about 3 months ago. And we were asked by the property owner of a piece of property in Miami Town if we could find out what happened with the township vacating part of Ferry Street to her family. So, and all she said was, you know, her husband went to a meeting. It was held in the basement of the Miami Town Fire Hall sometime in 1980 or 81, and the trustees agreed to vacate the property. So normally that would have been,
I wasn't there.
normally that would have been a monumental task, but if you recall, we digitized our records back to about 1934 last year. So all I had to do was go to our digital files and type in the name, and it popped up. I included the page from the records in your.
I saw it. I can't read it, but I saw it.
It's difficult to read, but this is from October 13th, 1981. So if you can imagine, if I'd been back going through all those books trying to find that,
Yeah.
we may never have found it because it's a very short, like 2-line item. The Board of Trustees at that time agreed to vacate 2 areas of Ferry Street. So I gave it to Josh, and he was like, oh. Well, I won't say what he said. So at last I heard, and I think Josh and Peggy may have an update on this from information they found today, it appeared that the board agreed to vacate the property and then never followed through.
They agreed to do the south side, which they did. The north side, they did not. They did agree to abandon it at the meeting, but then withdrew it because the second part of the piece of that entrance to what greenland.
So do we know if this is the parcel she's talking about that they rescinded?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh. So, well, I guess now that we have that new information, we just need to see if this is the property that she's talking about or not. And then what they would like is they would like us to go ahead and vacate the property. I don't know if the fire department would still need that access to the river.
I would have to see what property you're talking about.
So, but it sounds like that might be the side of the road that she's talking about, so I guess there's really nothing for you to do tonight other than she wanted you guys to be aware of it and she wanted to know what we were gonna do, so. Bail me out here, Josh.
The piece of property that Jim is describing is at the corner of Ferry and Front. Ferry and Front make a U, so it's not really an intersection. It just changes names. At the corner of that, you can, if you go straight down Ferry, across 128, the north side of the house is right directly in front of you. The north side, which was not going north, is not, what am I trying to say? Vacated, but the south side of the property was to be vacated. They said they weren't going to vacate the north side so that the fire department, or because the fire department used this area to enter the river. But I can tell you right now, unless you have a rappel rope, you're not using that as an access. It's straight down. I mean, it's really steep. I don't know if it ever graded off there or what, but it's very steep. Also, Duke they came to us, I guess it's been almost a year ago. They're updating the power grid system, that the higher telephone poles. I don't know if you've been through Miami Town and you've seen them working there on 128 Harrison Avenue. So that's making a loop. Those power lines are going down. Let's see, they're going north and south on 128. But at the intersection of 128 and Ferry, they're going to come down Ferry and go across the river. There is a telephone pole there now, so they obviously have an easement. and they're going to upgrade that, go higher, and get cables to go across the river to make that loop. But they will be taking out some pretty decent-sized trees to get that in there, and I think she does not want that. But that's out of township hands. That's going to be Duke, plus it's not her property.
Her contention is that for years they've thought it was theirs, they thought it was abandoned, they've treated it as theirs. But with all due respect to previous boards, they were not real good about following through on things. I mean, they may never have told her that they didn't, or told the gentleman who was there that they changed their mind. So, I mean, well, they sent them a letter. I didn't see that. You sent that this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It was never signed. It was never notarized.
So there is a letter that trustees withdrew it.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. I can send that to her and tell her we discussed it, and see where it goes from there.
I think that's all we can do
Yeah.
at this time.
Yeah, she may
Yeah.
well come back to you and ask you to do it again, but
I was going to call Duke to see if they could come and talk to our civic group, but maybe it would be better if they came here, if maybe you are more privy to what's going on than we are, but they upgraded that corner system right where Harrison Avenue goes up. That's their, what do you call it? Power
Substation.
station?
substation.
Yeah,
Substation.
substation. They increased that a couple years ago. So what my understanding is that all of these are being put up and to benefit Western Ridge. Is that true? Because two different people have told me that it's to increase power to the hospital. And I was going like, what hospital? And they said Western Ridge. Is that true? So should we get Duke Energy here? Because they talk about being transparent. And Dick, who used to work for Duke Energy, called some of his people that he knew there, and they didn't even know about the project. So I don't know what the big secret is, but we all want to know what's going on.
I mean, they're upgrading the power, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to do that everywhere, just probably more so for as electric cars and stuff come down the line. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's always has
That's
to be
gonna be-
upgraded.
But we've
they're
had
gonna-
two different people tell us it's because of the hospital.
Wow.
So, I don't know. But I'm going to call them and see if they'll come out and talk to us, so if they can shed some more light on it.
Hey, you know, Peggy, see if she can get an answer out of somebody.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah, I'm definitely
sure.
not going to stand in the way of upgrading the infrastructure
Yeah.
within reason.
It's worth a phone caller. If you find something out, let us know. Or you can call them. Please do. I just thought, because they're by my property there, I just assumed they were just upgrading just because I think they're trying to upgrade power grids all over. As time goes on, everybody's going to, it's going to be
They're
more of a
replacing a
demand.
lot of the old poles and things.
Yeah.
They were doing it in Miami Heights. They did it over on Brower Road.
They did it on Suspension Bridge Road. They went through and replaced a whole bunch of them. They've been
which
pretty
is-
active
Which
in
is a
that.
good thing.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah, next time a hurricane buzzes by Florida and hits here.
All right, moving on to new business. Approval of administrators to place a surplus equipment for sale on auction site, and I guess that's going to be, you don't want to put the M ones on there. You're going to try to see what we can get for it outright, correct? I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think that's the best place for all
Oh,
that stuff.
I'll make a motion that we, the administrators, okay, and the chief, to put their items on auction and/or sale pages as required by law to do.
Yeah, I'll second that. Yep.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay.
moving on. Talk about the levy timeline, if we're gonna do it, or?
Well, this was because we've discussed funding for the fire department, and I agree with everyone, not a good time to be asking people for money. But we also know, because the sheriff's department and county administrators met with Cleves, North Bend, and Miami Township, that they told them at that meeting that they plan to revisit Crosby, Harrison, and Whitewater. So we know that's coming. We don't know what it'll be yet, but just so everybody knew, because these dates really creep up on you. In order to place something on the ballot, you have to have it to the Board of Election 90 days in advance. So I think did I give you guys all
Yep, I got mine.
one of these? Okay.
You did, yes.
So if we were to choose to put a ballot question for a levy on in the primary this year, because it's a presidential election, will be March 19th. So we would have to have the deadline to get that to the Board of Elections would be December 19th, 90 days prior. Our regular meeting is December 18th, which would mean you'd have to trust me to drive it down to the Board of Elections on the day it was due and not be involved in a car accident and not get there. And before we can choose the amount, we have to, or after we would choose the millage, we have to get that certified by the auditor's office. They technically, Brenda told us the other day, they technically have 5 days. They asked for 10. I give them 15. So, because everybody's going to be asking at the same time. So 15 days prior to that December 19th would be right around November 31st. So we would have to decide at our November 20th meeting without a special meeting what that millage would be. We would have to approve the ballot language at our December 18th meeting, and it would be on the ballot March 18th. If you move back to the general election in November of 24, the deadline's August 5th to file the ballot question. Our meeting is not until the 17th, or excuse me, the 19th. So we would either have to do that in July of 24 or hold a special meeting between the July meeting and the time it had to be on the ballot. Deadline for the auditor's request would then be July the 15th or at our regular meeting in June. So I'm only bringing it up because if you want to do it, this sounds like a long way away, but it's really not. And I don't want us to get caught in a situation the way some of our neighbors have, where they waited and didn't have time to actually do it.
And they're out of money.
Yeah.
So, that's the last thing in the world I want to do is put on a levy. But out of necessity, it's something we have to look at. But I don't want to jump right into it because, as I was speaking before the meeting, I know that there's a huge reassessment on property taxes, and I'd like to see how that shakes down here by January, the second half bill, and see where it ends up, and the auditor can give us good information on what we will be receiving in 2024.
Based on the information they have now, in 2021, 1 mil would bring in 140,000, and based on the current information they have, which I don't believe is complete, 1 mil would bring in 143,800.
How much was it?
143,800.
And what was it before that?
140,500. So it didn't go up much for 1 mil.
Yeah, all I know is my property tax is doubling, so that you have to get on your hcauditor.org and you can go fishing to find the information. I know it is on there. It wasn't easy to find. My wife did it with her sister-in-law who works for the auditor coaching her, so I don't know how you find it, but it is on there. But I'd like to know where that has us before I make make some kind of commitment or anything.
Well, we need to really sit down and decide where we need to be
Oh,
with
right,
the fire department. I don't know that anything is going to come of the talks with 3 townships. And I kind of gave Guy a heads up that they said they'd be calling, is what they told the other communities. Haven't heard anything yet.
No.
So
No.
apparently my suggestion that we maybe pay for dispatch fees didn't go over very well. I never heard back from the county administration about that. So one thing that does do for us, though, it would give us a contract, and then we could revisit
Go on with the limited
rule.
home rule, yeah.
So, but who knows what they're going to ask for,
Yeah,
and,
that's-
you know, and where we'd be with that.
We gotta know that first. If
And,
that's-
Right.
You know,
We have too many unanswered questions for me to move along with that right now, but
I
we're gonna
wasn't
have to
intending to
move.
move along. I just was wanting to make everyone aware of the dates.
No, I
The other
appreciate
thing,
that, yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we did discuss, and we found out we can do a safety services levy, so we could do a combined levy. You know, I don't know if you mentioned it at a meeting or just to me. You know, maybe we need to be looking at alternatives to the sheriff, whether we do something in-house, whether we do something with a neighbor.
Yeah, we gotta see what they come back with. I mean, if they came back with something that was, and I don't even wanna say reasonable, if they come back with something we can afford, is what I wanna say. Because I'm not saying what they asked for is not unreasonable, right? It's just about what we can afford to do. So if they came back with something that would work that way, that's the big thing we gotta watch. We just gotta see where they're at first.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was a food for thought agenda item.
All right. I don't think that we took care of all the new stuff, didn't we, as we went through?
Yep.
So
Yes.
we didn't have to add anything other. Any public comments? Anybody there? We don't need an executive session. Comments from the board.
I do.
Gravel-Rama this weekend.
Gravel-Rama 52 starts Wednesday. The parade will start Wednesday out of the IOK grounds. I don't know, Chief, what you guys had planned. I think the parade is planned on trying to at least try to leave out there by 6. It's usually 6:30-ish, something like that. And that goes through right downtown of Cleves. It is actually supposed to be Gravel-Rama 53, but we had the COVID year, we were out, so if you look at the dates, we're shy a year because we had to cancel the COVID year. Also, IOK, the head's groundskeeper down there, donated some passes for the fire department and employees of Whitewater Township. So you can see me for that, so I can report that back to them. Other than that, the grounds are open now. Festivities start Wednesday and they'll run all the way through Monday, Chief, which I know you're aware of that, but just to make sure you're aware. So come down. It's supposed to be nice hot weather, so come and enjoy it. So
Saturday and Sunday's gonna be good.
yeah, it's already filling up down there pretty quick, so that's all I got. Oh, I do have one other thing real quick I forgot to bring up. My bad on this, but just comments. I do football games on Sundays in our garage behind our house. I did it last year. If it's okay with the board and Chief, I like blocking off that little alley just because we have kids show up, and I don't like people running through there. And I know Chief knows what I'm talking about in the fire department because they come down to Halloween. It's not blocking anything off really, and we would move it. So you guys okay with all that? Just
I'm fine with it.
and because everybody's welcome, anybody's welcome to come by and come by and check it out. It's a pretty good time and it's at least fun. We invite everybody to stop by. So other than that, that's all I got.
You got anything?
I have one thing. Last month, I reported about going to the Great Parks where they were introducing and advertising their river paddling and accessibility to the rivers. Well, that's kind of come back to bite us in the backside. We're having an over usage of our township lots, the river access points on Lawrenceburg Road. We're at the wind down point of the season now. The chief has seen some problems with it also, noticed that people parking in the fire lanes, people with boat trailers parking in there. So I think we don't need to act on it right now because we're at the wind down of the season. People are back to school, football's starting and all that stuff's going on, so we're, not too much longer. So, but I think that's something we'll need to address or look at and discuss in the upcoming months of what we could do, can do, want to do, whatever. So I just wanted to touch base with that. I kind of like to meet with Hamilton County Parks and ask them what they plan to do with the overcrowding of our lots due to their free publicity. They're reporting. I'm not a fan of the parks on this case because they're reporting that they have all these access points and they're giving out these maps with public access points, but they didn't inform us that they were going to do that. And all of a sudden, Harrison wrote 20-some tickets on one Sunday afternoon for people parking sideways in their park on Campbell Road, because of people just parking everywhere, and they're doing the same thing on our lots. So there's definitely next season going to be an issue. So I just wanted to report that.
All right, anything else? Got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively.